And here we are, Croc Talk with Chris Croc. What a show. Jazzy Crockett loses. That's not good for us. But Jazzy Crockett lost. You know, she was rejected in her own home state. Such a hero of someone's, but just not this state. We'll get to that in just a minute. Also, we have Paxton and runoff, of course, with John Cornyn, the immemorable John Cornyn. I also want to get into Dallas County voting confusion and Democrats alleging there was somehow discrimination at the polls last night. Sharia law in the news. And then our special guest, Kyle K.D. Sims, is going to join me live. He's one of our local patriots that I had the privilege of meeting at the Wiley ISD School Board, where we were insanely going against the Islamic proselytization of our children in their classrooms in Wiley East High and in other schools in Wiley ISD. But first, as always, I want to tell you that Croc Talk with Chris Croc is brought to you by IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, specializing in IRS audits as well, and tax planning strategy. Randy Martin's been my CPA for about 8 years for my business, my wife's business, even for my kids, especially when they file incorrectly and say that they're not dependents when they live in my home, and they still are. Well, let's get into the election and the results. Jazzy Crockett had her butt handed to her. Texas rejected her in her own home state. She's rejected in her own home state. Isn't that amazing? She failed. Where was her big support? Honestly, I'm not happy that James Talarico won because he's more of a threat. And we're going to play some of the most unbelievable lies that he has said over the years about the bastardization of what God's word is, what Christianity is. He's very dangerous because he tickles the ears, and he's just like Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator. He'll get one run and get close to things, but he will not win. But he's dangerous. John Cornyn only won by 1.2%, by the way. He actually stunned a lot of people, a lot of everybody, by winning, but only by 1.2%. And so now it's going to go into a runoff. Obviously, you know I want Paxton. And this is a big one. We'll see how that plays out. But Jazzy Crockett concedes the race, makes her Talarico endorsement conditional. Let's play some audio first, some audio and video of Jazzy, and she's claiming she's a victim, and it's racism and all sorts of stuff. This is great.
So that's my news, is that we're not going to have election results tonight, in my opinion, based upon what specifically is taking place in Dallas County. Unfortunately, this is what Republicans like to do. And so they specifically targeted Dallas County, and I think we all know why. So I want you to enjoy yourselves, but I won't be back tonight because I have no idea of when we're going to get results, and I fully anticipate it won't be until tomorrow. So I love y'all too.
We love you, girl. I love you, girl.
Thank you so very much for being here.
Hold on. I should have a little bit. I got a little video of her somewhere here dancing. She won't be able to dance anymore. I don't know where it went. There was a video of her dancing with her staff to some rap song. She'll have a lot more time to practice dancing now. So that's kind of funny, isn't it? Let's go to Jazzy Crockett here, and here she is crying. She's playing the crying game now.
No one. I gotta get through this. 6 years ago, no one believed that I could become a state representative.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So she was crying. And guess who took her seat? Guess who won her seat? Her own pastor has now stolen her seat. The man who I've gone after for years and years and years in North Texas, in my 16 years, Reverend Freddie Haynes, yes, sir, race hustler.
in
Yes,
Utah.
sir. Yes, sir.
It's more of us in church than in Utah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We ain't got nothing to do with what they just did. A white Christian gets killed, murdered, not assassinated.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yes, sir. He's a BLM worshiping church. He had BLM banners on his church, and that was what he and his congregation were worshiping. Black Lives Matter. Let's finish off a little bit more. The new guy taking over for, this was formerly EBJ's seat. EBJ, Eddie Bonet Johnson, as I called her. And then Jasmine Crockett. Now her pastor has stolen her seat.
We're going to tell the whole truth today. Martin King got assassinated. Malcolm X got assassinated. Medgar X got assassinated. Don't compare Kirk to King.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so there you go. I'm not shocked, are you? Of course not. Another race hustler, etc. So there he goes. Jazzy, and this is what's great from Breitbart. Crockett concedes Senate race, makes Talarico endorsement conditional. Conditional. She said that Dallas County, she wants to sue. Classic Democrat. Dallas County should litigate issues surrounding primary votes. As former Vice President Kamala Harris quickly backed James Talarico, he's going to win more votes than Kamala ever will as far as winning anything. Alex Soros amplified him. Crockett is not pledged to join Talarico on the campaign trail. New York Times, she was texting back and forth. They said Crockett refused to make plans for other people's campaigns. I ain't going on with that white boy. No, she didn't say that. Jasmine Crockett told me this morning that she was concerned her supporters could be reluctant to turn out for James Talarico in the general election for Senate because of what she called voter suppression in Dallas County, where she lives. Do you think it's because Democrats were too stupid to follow simple directions? I don't know. There was like $1.5 million campaign of TV commercials, print mailings to tell Democrats, hey, you have to go to the poll that is in your precinct to vote. You can't go county-wide. Why? Because state law says if any party, Republican or Democrat, says we want to do at our polling precincts, not county-wide, that is state law. You can do that. And that's what the Republicans chose. And the Democrats were too stupid to figure out where their local polling station was and too stupid to read mailers that were shown to them, TV ads that were shown to them, God knows how many social media ads that were shown to them, and they still couldn't figure it out. And the Texas Supreme Court struck down that local judge in Dallas, who unequivocally had to be a Democrat, struck it down and said, no, you cannot open the polls till 9 o'clock because Democrats in Dallas County are stupid, too stupid to figure out how to vote at their own precinct. They struck it down, and any votes between 7 p.m. or later on these bogus Democrats trying to keep the polls open later is shut down. Because stupidity is not an excuse for expanding voter hours. Unbelievable. Thank God the Texas Supreme Court stepped in for that. How is it that Democrats had 2 more hours to vote, but Republicans didn't? Oh, my gosh. Oh, Jasmine was asked about this in a headline with Dallas Morning News. After Senate defeat, Jasmine Crockett returns to Washington facing new questions. Yes, what are you going to do? I'm going to continue to serve. I love how they say after her meteoric rise, she no longer will be employed here this fall. I'm going to continue to serve. How? Kel Gilson, political scientist at SMU, says that she could look for an appointment in a future Democrat administration. She could do what former Representative Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator, did. Once you lose, you better damn be sure your next race is the one you can win, he said. No! You need to be like Beto and lose 3 or 4 times running for different elections and lose 4 times. I love it. The more times you run, the more times you lose. It's a great formula. Please keep doing it. Here's some of the horrible things that Talarico has said. He thinks illegal immigrant children are more patriotic than American children. I'm going to play some of these sound bites. We're going to break them down for you. He says the Torah tells you how to give an abortion. He thinks the trans community needs abortions too. I don't know how a man can have a fetus in the rump there, but nonetheless. This is all biblical according to him. There are 6 genders. God is non-binary. That is an abomination. The entire Bible talks about he and him and God. There's no question about his sexuality or his. It's not even sexuality. He's a he. That's just all there is to it. The Bible supports gay marriage, he says. This is satanic, all these positions, by the way. But he tickles your ears and whispers biblical bastardizations. Jesus supported abortion because he talked to and was kind to women. The story of Mary, Immaculate Conception, is proof that God supports abortion. I'll play that one. You'll see. He literally, all you got to do is open your Bible and see the scripture he's talking about, and it says nothing of what he says. Mary was not asked. His whole point was like Mary was asked if she wanted the baby. She was not asked. She was told by the angel, you will, you have a baby, you will, da-da-da, and his name will be, and he will be the Savior. Talarico defeated Crockett by 7 points. She says the election was stolen. Cornyn and Paxton run off 1.2 points. Trump is going to endorse one of them and expects the other one to get out. I am very sad to tell you that it's quite possible that Trump will sell us out and go with Cornyn over Paxton. If he does, that is very disappointing. Very disappointing. Cornyn, I'm going to play some video, and I want to thank Kyle K.D. Sims for this. He sent this to me, and I'm going to play a little bit for him as well when he joins me in a few as my guest tonight. Here is something that he had on his Twitter feed that I played, that I put on mine, but I'm going to play for you right now. This is just a little bit of John Cornyn and how he sold out Trump and sold us out.
I fully expect, unless there's some surprise that none of us know anything about right now, that Joe Biden will be the next president.
Strong words from U.S. Senator John Cornyn out of Texas. The Republican says former President Donald Trump can't win the 2024 general election for president. He also says the GOP needs to find a candidate who actually can. This was all in a call with Texas reporters. Cornyn saying, I think President Trump's time has passed him by. And he adds, I don't think President Trump understands that when you run in a general election, you got to appeal to voters beyond your base.
So now it's going to be Cornyn that Trump reportedly may endorse, and then demand that Paxton gets out of the race. They're saying they might give him a seat, a position in the Trump administration to keep him happy, appease him. But that's crazy. That is crazy if that happens. Dan Crenshaw got his butt handed to him. I love that. By Representative Steve Toth, 18-point victory. That's great. Mark Teixeira from the Yankees, former Yankees guy, pitcher, superstar, is won the Texas 21st Congressional District. That is the old seat of Chip Roy. And Wesley Hunt lost, and he pledged not to support Cornyn. And Trump's all PO'd that he's getting in the way there, but he's going to have to tell what he wants to tell, and I like what he said. Alan West, this is what great. This is from the Dallas Express today. Alan West, what he said about the Dallas GOP and the Democrats couldn't find their own local precinct. Help me, I'm lost. Help me, where am I? Where do I vote? Dude, I have been voting all my life when I worked downtown Dallas and when I work now from my home at the precinct right down the street. And I've never voted anywhere else. This was not a freaking mystery for me. But it was for the Democrats. Even though they got $1.5 million of advertisements and mailers, they still couldn't figure this out. This is so freaking great. So long, this is what Republicans like to do, Jazzy Crockett said. I played that for you. So long as they know they can win, even if it means cheating. Yes, we were cheating. She caught us. Tim Young, comedian, said voting for Democrats open till 9 in Dallas, but for Republicans it's 7. What? Chris Putnam from the Dallas Express said they somehow managed to blame Republicans in a county that literally doesn't have a single Republican elected official in county leadership in an election where each party runs their own primary. The Democrats run their own primary. There are no Democrats in any elected positions, and yet they're blaming the Republicans. Jazzy's blaming the Republicans. Don't you love that? Alan West, Dallas County GOP chair, said yesterday Republican voters in Dallas County evidenced their ability to adapt and overcome, proving that precinct-level voting can be accomplished on primary election day. It's apparent that Democrats struggle with grasping basic civics, and their usual attempt at lawfare backfired. Tony Gonzalez has he's in a primary now. He did not win. He eked out a slight, like a 1 point or less or something like that, or 2 point victory over Brandon Herrera. And Tony Gonzalez has lied and had an affair with a vulnerable woman who allegedly had an affair with a vulnerable woman and who lit herself on fire and killed herself. And Tony Gonzalez needs to get out and be knocked out in the primaries. Don Huffines, who I'm a big fan of, I've told you why. My son's second-class merit badge for Scouts, or second-class rank for Scouts, required going to an elected official and talking about citizenship and all this kinds of stuff. And Don was amazing to my son and to me. And then our troop later on got to meet him at the Capitol. He gave us a personal tour of the Capitol, and it was awesome. So Don Huffines, great guy. I'm a fan, a big fan. Let's play a little Talarico. Before I play the Talarico audio, I do want to tell you this, too. Randy Martin is my CPA. Randy Martin's been my CPA for some time now. And I would not go with anybody else. If you have IRS problems, if you have an IRS audit, if you need tax planning strategies, go with Randy Martin from IRSprob.com. His offices are local. He's a Dallas guy. His offices are by Beltline and the Tollway, but he can do all over the state of Texas, all over the country. And he's an amazing, amazing CPA. I've never had my materials and everything put together and then handled for me better than anybody else than Randy Martin, including how everything looks on the report. Helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversies, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. IRSprob.com. That's IRSprob.com. Okay, and tell them, of course, that I sent you. And yesterday I had the privilege of telling you about Jim Dutton from Texas Home Improvement, and Jim owns Due West Plumbing and Foundation. And Jim Dutton and Due West have done every bit of plumbing in my house for 11 years. Jim is the one who signed off on my house before I bought it. As far as the foundation, as far as the plumbing, static test, foundation inspection, and measurements, Jim has saved this house and saved my family tens of thousands of dollars. My water heater was replaced by Jim. All of my root shields protecting my pipes and my foundation were done by Jim. Everything in this house, plumbing, foundation, done by Jim Dutton at Due West Foundation Services and Plumbing. If you want the best, try Due West or call Due West, 972-406-0912. Jim's amazing. And my wife worked there. My wife worked at Due West for 3 years, and we know Mary and Johan and Adam, his whole family, and we love them very much. And by the way, Due West does plumbing, retaining walls, concrete leveling, foundation repair. Now, let's play some James Talarico and how he totally bastardizes the Christian gospel. Here we go. Here he is with some crazy BS on the pulpit.
Before we go further, I want to acknowledge that our trans community needs abortion care too. Defending trans Texans is something we have to do every day at the state capitol. And you better believe I'll be giving sermons on that too. So when I use the word woman, it should not be understood as an exhaustive term, but rather as a lens through which to understand, examine, and interrogate patriarchy. Similar to how we specify anti-black racism.
So the guy's totally woke, leftist, trans, all sorts of stuff. This is not anything about the gospel.
Christianity points to the truth. I also think other religions of love point to the same truth. I think of different religious traditions as different languages. So you and I could sit here and debate what to call this cup, and you could call it a cup in English, you'd call it something else in Spanish and French, but we are all talking about the same reality. I believe Jesus Christ reveals that reality to us, but I also think that other traditions reveal that reality in their own ways with their own symbol structures.
This is a total lie. My pastor, Dr. Robert Jefferson, friend at my church, First Baptist Dallas, teaches that if there's a house that's on fire and there's only one way out, would you tell that person, go out that way, and that's the only way? Because there's only one way to heaven. And James Talarico either knows that and is lying. I think he knows it and is lying. And he is literally, that is, if you are claiming to be a pastor and you teach kids the wrong way, you teach people the wrong way, pretty much expect a millstone on your neck and to be thrown into the sea. And that's what he's doing. There is one way to heaven, and it's through Jesus Christ. There are not many ways. There's only one way. He says, I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father but through me, except through me. So James Talarico, I believe, as a seminary student, supposedly knows this and lies. And that's dangerous, and that's very concerning. One more here from him. This is kind of a compilation. I'll play some of it.
Do you know any undocumented immigrants?
No, I do not.
When I was a teacher on the west side of San Antonio, I taught a lot of students who were undocumented. And I don't want to stereotype, but those students tended to be the most patriotic, the hardest working students that I had in the classroom. And again, I haven't stated this enough to say this definitively, but there are interpretations.
So illegals are more patriotic than Americans.
Certain passages from the Torah where some folks will even say that there's some subtle instructions for how to perform an abortion in the ancient world, certain things to drink, things like that.
Before we go further, I want to acknowledge that our trans community needs abortion care too. Defending trans Texans is something we have to do every day at the state capitol. And you better believe I'll be giving sermons on that too.
I want us all to be aware of is that modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
Is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary. So this idea that to be a Christian means you have to be anti-gay and anti-abortion, there really is no historical, theological, biblical basis for that opinion. So this idea that to be a Christian means you have to be anti-gay and anti-abortion, there really is no historical, theological, biblical basis for that opinion. And if you think about it from a Christian perspective...
That's enough. So basically, we know that God, Jesus, Paul, marriage between one man and one woman, and God made woman for man, even though they are, of course, equals and partners. But nonetheless, he also goes on to say that, and I'm not going to play the whole 3.5-minute clip. He's just the guy's he's a lunatic. I think he's smart, and I think he's a liar. And he lied about being banned from CBS and Stephen Colbert when he knew that this guy Ahmad something or other and Jazzy Crockett, all three of them, they were the 3 Democrats running for the Senate seat, would have had to come on that night because it was in the middle of the election season. He knew that, and he lied and used it to make money. And remember, Proverbs 21:6, it says, I'm gonna put it together for you without, I can't remember the exact scripture, but it says something like, if you make a fortune off of lies, it's a fleeting vapor. And that's exactly who this guy is, a fleeting vapor. Proverbs 21:6. Okay. And then he also says that God supports abortion because when the angel came for immaculate conception of Mary, that Mary had a choice. Read the scripture. She didn't have a choice. She was told. She gleefully accepted it, but she was like, what the heck? But she didn't get asked. She was told. He's just an absolute bastardizer of God's word and a liar. So, he's dangerous, though. He's more dangerous than Jazzy ever would have been. Dallas County's voting confusion. Who is responsible from WFAA TV Channel 8? Yesterday it was, will we ever know the motive of the Islamic terrorism? Will we ever know the motive of the shooting in Austin? Which we all know the guy was an Islamic terrorist, a radical Islamic terrorist. He had Property of Islam shirt, and below that he had the Iranian flag and Islamic flag. But who is responsible for Dallas County's confusion? So today, Channel 8 can't figure out who is responsible for Dallas County's confusion. Do you think maybe it's the Democrats who control every seat in the city and county of Dallas? Do you think maybe it's the Democrats who control who gets picked to be the elections commissioner? Do you think it might be the Democrats who are in charge of their own party and their precincts and their voting? Do you think it might be the Democrats who they spend $1.5 million on telling in mailings, flyers, and advertisements that they have to go to the exact polling place of their precinct? Do you think maybe it's the Democrats? I think so. Kel Gilson, poli-sci professor at Southern SMU, said, Democrats have to ask themselves why there seems to be so many Democrat voters that didn't know where to go. Yes, Democrats need to ask themselves, why were there so many Democrats that didn't know where to go? Where's my polling place? Where's my polling place? I can't figure it out. And I told you the Supreme Court struck down Dallas County, keeping the polls open for 2 hours. Leave it to the Democrats to confuse themselves and cause chaos for their own selves, and then to blame it on the Republicans and racism. Here's a woman named Zebulon Smith who lives 5 minutes away from where she normally votes. She said, quote, "It don't make any sense." I think she meant it doesn't make any sense, but she didn't say that. "Why would you separate Democrats from the Republicans? Why? So they know who they intimidate." Who is intimidating you when the Democrats run the polls, when the Democrats are the ones taking the votes? Nobody that's not Democrat was allowed in where you were voting. These are stupid people. Woo! Stupid people. Woo! Republican voters overwhelmingly back a Sharia ban on Sharia law, which is very good. I'm going to get into this now with our guest, Kyle Katie Sims. Let's go to him now because he's been very patient. And, Kyle, I appreciate you. There he is, Kyle Katie Sims. Brother man, I appreciate your patience, and I'm sorry I was running late this evening. But here we are. How are you?
Brother, I'm great. I appreciate you having me, and no worries on being late. I understand.
You know, this is, well, let's tell people about you. To me, you're a social media influencer on Twitter. You're a social media influencer on Facebook, but you're also deep in Republican politics in Collin County and Texas. Tell us quickly, if you had to give us a thumbnail of who you are in a 30-second thumbnail. Tell us about yourself.
Brother, I'm a grandfather. I'm a husband had a bride for 35 years, got 7 grandchildren. And I got into politics several years ago, but I fight for my grandchildren. We've got 5 granddaughters, and I'm sick to my stomach as being a native Texan of what's been going on in our state. So if I don't stand up and fight, who's going to?
Amen. Now, one of the things, we first met in person at the Wiley ISD School Board over the Islamization of Wiley ISD schools. Kyle, I did not know the depths of how bad it is. The Islamization not only of Wiley ISD schools, but of Wiley area and many areas in North Texas and throughout the state. Tell me about when you're going into that night at the school board, and did you see my speech went viral? Did you see that?
I did.
What the heck? We'll do that in a minute. Let's set this up though, because going into this, you knew a lot more about this than I did that night until I was there and got to meet you and everybody else and really get deep into this and watch stuff in person. What has been going on that led up to that meeting that led you to go that night?
Well, I'll back up just a little bit. A few months back Mario had contacted me about he'd been trying to get a Republican club started for over 2 years, and they kept giving him hell about it. So a bunch of us went out there and spoke, I believe it was last September. And lo and behold, a couple of days later, he gets his Republican club.
Oh, we're talking about Marco Lopez Hunter, right? Who's the head of this? He was trying to form for 2 or 3 years a student Republican club at Wiley East High, right?
That is correct.
Okay, and so you were trying to help him out. He wanted you to help him out with that. Go ahead.
He did. So we got to the meeting, and here's a story you have not heard.
Okay.
So when we get to the meeting, I'm walking up to the front row, and a man in the back row yells at me, "Hey, you're Kyle Sims." And I turned around and said, "Dude, I don't know who you are." So I went to sit down in the front. My wife asked me what happened, and he gives her the middle finger. And I get up and tell him, basically, the police come in there, and I tell him, if you don't get his ass out of here, I'm going to take care of him. And it's all on video. So what I found out later was the man that confronted me is the husband of the Wiley East principal.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Yes.
Doolin, Principal Tiffany Doolin?
Yes.
Are you freaking kidding me?
No, I've got no video. That happened back in September. So when Mario, this whole Islamic deal, I was at the executive meeting for the Collin County Republican Party in McKinney, and he calls me and asks me where I am, and I tell him. He comes and gets me out of the meeting and says, "Hey, this is what happened today. They've been passing out Qurans and hijabs and Sharia law material in our school. Would you do a video?" And we did a video with him outside that night. And I believe they told me at last time that video had 9 million hits on social media.
Holy wow.
But that's kind of what started this. Is he come to me for help because he knows I'm not afraid to stand up.
Right.
I believe in helping this young man because he's got more courage than a lot of adults.
Yes, he does. And he's such a brilliant, bright young man, and he's very respectful but yet bold. He's a really good kid. He's a sweetheart kid, and he has a huge future ahead of him.
He's got some fabulous parents. I mean,
Yeah.
incredible parents.
So this is insane. So you go to a meeting to speak up to help fight for getting a Republican club in Wiley East because the young man Marco Hunter Lopez asked you for help because they couldn't get this Republican club started. They were being discriminated against. It was being shut down and stopped at every angle. And so you came to speak up. And then when you showed up, you're saying that the principals, Tiffany Doolin and her husband, said what did he say to you again? And he flipped you off. What did he say?
Well, he flipped my wife up, but I forgot a little thing. Before he did that, he said, "You're the same man that chased my wife or my son and my wife across the Wiley East parking lot today." And I said, "You've lost your damn mind. I don't even know where Wiley East High School is."
Right.
I went to sit down. My wife turned around and looked at him, and he gave her the middle finger on his cheek and grinned at her. And that's when I got up.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
This is insane.
So this behavior at this school has been going on a long time. This is not the first incident for this school.
And people need to know, if you didn't catch this, she's the hiding principal. I call her the hiding principal because I confronted her at the meeting, and she literally hid from me when I went to ask her some questions. I'm going to play that real fast, Kyle, because people need to see this. She wore a hijab 1 year to the day of when the Qurans, hijabs, and Sharia pamphlets were passed out, understanding Sharia to brainwash our children in Wiley East High School. She wore the hijab and said it was awesome, or what did you say? It was something like, it was all caps, something like it was awesome, or oh no, she loved it, all caps. And that was on World Hijab Day, and then 1 year later, World Hijab Day, Sunday. So on Monday, I believe she allowed this to happen. We don't know for a fact, but I believe she allowed it. Marco says to me she believes she has something to do with it too. And you do too, right?
Absolutely.
So somehow 4 adult Muslims with an adult Muslim proselytizing group of adults allowed to come in the middle of the freaking school day on World Hijab Day, a Monday after World Hijab Day, and go in there and proselytize to our children, pass out hijabs with candy and understanding Sharia pamphlets to get them to say yes to Sharia law, and passing out Qurans and proselytizing. And everything blew up.
Let me tell you something else, Chris.
Yeah.
I worked in the school system for 32 years. I know very well how the process works to get in a school because I was on the construction side of it. I was responsible for building the schools. They have to put their license in the Raptor system.
Yes.
And if they got bags in their hand, purses in their hand, people are looking at that stuff. If they let them in that school, if they didn't search them, they failed tremendously. And what if somebody had a firearm in one of those bags or whatever else in one of those bags?
You know, Kyle, I didn't know you worked with schools, building schools and everything for 32 years. The Raptor system, for people who don't know, it's a system that they pay money for to screen people to as far as all sorts of issues, right? Like they have background issues, criminal issues. Is that right?
That is correct. It's a little machine. You put your driver's license into it. Within 30 seconds, it'll come back and tell you if you've got anything on your record. If not, they'll print you a little paper badge and let you go.
Kyle, do we know if those 4 adult Muslims were ever done? Were they ever put through the Raptor system? Do we know?
From my understanding, they were, but I cannot verify that.
Okay. So going into that night, I was stunned. When I first saw Marco's video saying that they were passing out. You said you were there. You took you were running the video with him. With Marco when he was showing the passing out of the hijabs and everything. Is that was you there that the time?
No, I was not there at that time. He did a video with me that night in McKinney, to tell me what to do.
Okay.
What they did.
So I didn't believe it when I saw that.
I know it was wild.
Did you, when you first saw that or heard about it? I mean, was it hard to believe that was happening?
I was really. I wouldn't say I'm surprised because of what's been going on, but I was actually shocked that it happened in Wiley, Texas, of all places. I mean, that's a small country town that I would have never expected it.
Seeing, and I have a niece that goes to one of the Wiley high schools, a different last name, but they weren't surprised. Her and my sister-in-law were not surprised that this is going down, and because they live there. But this is unbelievable. All right, I'm gonna play the First thing is I guess I'll play the speech first. I want to focus on the principal, though, because I confronted her. She was hiding out. Marco told me the principals can hide out somewhere and watch the meeting from another room, so we didn't know they were there.
Uh-huh.
And nobody knew they were there. And then I went around, I saw, but I believe were them, these principals and other administrators that were on the side kind of hiding as the doors were about to, as they were about to open for the second session, not public speaking, but the rest of the session of the school board meeting. And so I go up and I said, I'll be darned, that's her. And so I started recording. And she had some pit bull lady. I don't know who this pit bull lady is. It was standing in between me and being nasty at me and barking at me. It was like I was trying to interview Elon Musk and his handlers were barking at me. It was bizarre. And when I came around to ask a question, they turned and hid from me. Here, I'll play that right now, Kyle. Okay, here we go. I'm just asking a question. This is a public building. I can ask questions. There they are turning. Hiding. Why are you hiding? You're a public principal, Miss Doolin. Miss Doolin, why are you hiding? Did you allow those people in to preach Islam to your students? You loved World Hijab Day, remember that? You said in all caps you loved it. Do you still love World Hijab Day? What are you afraid of? So that's the woman whose husband flipped off your wife.
That is.
A freaking principal husband flipping off a constituent's wife.
Yeah, my wife actually went up and talked to him and said, I've done nothing to you. I don't know you. Don't ever do that to me again. And they basically ended up taking him. He tried to get me kicked out so I could not speak. He was
oh my gosh.
He was a Democrat liberal trolling me on Facebook, knew I would be there. So he showed up hopefully to get me kicked out, but he ended up getting kicked out of the meeting.
Wait a minute, Kyle. You're now telling me that Principal Tiffany Doolin's husband is a liberal Democrat troll who trolls you online on social media?
Absolutely. That's the only way you knew I would have been there. He trolled me on social media. He knew I would be there. He was sitting in the back row waiting on me.
What, do we know what he does for a job? What kind of job? I'm not trying to target him. I'm just saying, what kind of a job does he have?
Chris, I've got it on my phone. I don't remember off the tip of my head, but I do have that, yes. I tracked him down by doing a lot of research after I got a good picture of him.
After somebody's flipping off your wife. Yeah, after somebody's flipping off your wife and trolling you. I'm just curious what kind of an occupation he has.
I basically told the cops I was going to beat his ass if I didn't get him out of the room is what I told him. Excuse my language.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I like the bluntness and the rawness. Reality, brother. Reality. Holy crap, when somebody flips off your wife like that and is trolling you right in your face, that's unacceptable. So they removed him. And, yeah.
They did. And I knew I had to remain calm because I knew my main mission was to speak up for Marco. I think we had about 20 people there that night that spoke. So that's why I did it.
Kyle, I think we're going to have about 50 people. I don't know how many people, but because March 24th is the next school board meeting, and we're all going because nobody has been held accountable. Would you agree about that? Absolutely.
We'll be there, and we've already got the new flyer we're going to put, and I'll tag you on the X and Facebook with it. And we're going to – I hope we have standing room only again.
Send it to me, too. Yeah, I'll put it out on all my socials because I want people to come and speak or at least come for support. Because they literally, for allowing those Islamic adults to come proselytize and pass out all those Qurans and Sharia pamphlets and everything, which is unthinkable and disgusting and illegal. And by the way, I don't know if you also heard about the 8th grade parent that said her daughter in the middle of class was given a Quran, a children's book about understanding the Quran, and traceable, or some kind of a Arabic alphabet, and then she with candy and said, "I want you to read the Quran with me. My mom packed this for us." So that was around the same day, in the middle of class.
It was. I did hear about that, and I know a lot of people are a little bit intimidated to speak up for whatever reason, but that's why we're here.
Yes,
and I appreciate you showing up to speak too, because we need more people that are in media and empowered to show up and speak at these meetings. That's what makes change come.
Yes, and what? They're like cockroaches. The more of us that come, and the more sunshine and spotlight that's put on them, the more they scurry and run away. I believe through talking with parents like Michael Schwerin, if you know who he is. He's a definite involved parent and has spoken up, and he spoke out that night at the school board meeting. I believe parents like him, Marco, his dad, you, and so many of us that come, the more of us that come and put the spotlight on it, the more likely they are to scurry away, because they're not going to tell the truth. I've been told the Wiley School Board pretends like they're Republicans, or says they're Republicans, or old money Republicans, or old Wiley power Republicans, but they're fake Republicans. They're rhinos. They're appeasers to appease. They appease Islam and proselytizing our children and everybody. Talk to me about that. What do you think or know about that?
Well, I know the one guy I don't remember his name. He was on the far left of the board. When I first got up there and spoke about them not having the pledges or the prayer at the beginning of the meeting, he gave me a nice little smirk. And these guys just want to think they can intimidate us and shame us into not speaking.
Right.
I got news for them. I'm going to speak louder next time.
Good. And I don't know if you saw, Marco sent me a video, and he zoomed in. The board on the far left as well was laughing when Marco said it took us 2 or 3 years to get a conservative club, and he laughed. I don't know if you saw that.
Yep.
I played that on the podcast, when Marco sent me that the other night or last week or sometime. They all need to be removed and then voted out. Do you agree about that?
I do, and it's pretty odd. Back in, I believe it was December, as late as December, they were having the pledges and the prayer at the first of the meeting. Being it was the first day of Ramadan and what was going on in the district, I don't know when they moved the prayer to the end of the meeting after public comments, but they moved it for a reason, and I don't have a good reason. It should be at the very beginning of the meeting.
You think they moved the prayer and the pledge, I think you said, and other stuff to later on to not offend the large Muslim crowd that was there to speak out and support proselytizing to our children?
I do, because I don't know exactly when they moved it, but I believe when I looked at the minutes, even back in December, it was at the first of the meeting, and when we were there in September, it was at the first of the meeting.
One more thing before I play my little speech here that went viral and stuff. The Muslims that were speaking out, I saw two things, and I was talking to Kaylee Campbell about this too. She was on last week about this, and I saw two things from the Muslims that spoke. Either they come from a third world country and simply don't understand that you are not allowed to freaking do this, that you can't come in and spread Islam in our public schools, and that we are a Christian nation, that you can't break the rules because it's Islam. And I think half of them are ignorant because they're from a third world country and that's all they know, where Islam is it. It's the rule, it's everything, Sharia. And I think the other half are intentional and are like serpents with a forked tongue, saying one thing one way, one thing another way. And I heard one Muslim man say, "This is a tempest in a teapot." Are you freaking kidding me? Let's have, hey Kyle, are you a God-fearing, Bible-believing Christian like I am?
Amen. Absolutely.
Yeah, I go to First Baptist Dallas, and I would love to pass out gospel tracts and to tell my story of salvation, how I came to Christ in fall of 2007 in Atlanta, Georgia, as a talk show host at that time. I would love to tell my story to the children. Wouldn't you love to tell your story?
Absolutely. I'd love to bring them to my cowboy church, and let's see how that works out for them, passing out Sharia law pamphlets.
Yeah, I think it'd be great for us to just go there, and I wonder if the Muslim parents would be upset about that, of us passing out Bibles.
They'd raise hell. And, Chris, what people need to understand is our Constitution, both Texas and U.S. Constitution, does not allow this sick ideology, Sharia law, to be compatible with our constitutions or our Christian beliefs. So, I don't know why they think they're going to do this and nobody's saying anything. It's just totally insane.
Do you agree with me that it's like 50% of them are ignorant because they're from a third world country and think that Islam is it and they can just do these kinds of things, and the other half are intentional? Do you think that's accurate from what you saw with the speakers of that?
I think that's probably accurate. If you're going to come into this country, first thing you need to do is pass a Constitution test. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, I'll play the speech. I stopped keeping track. It was insane. First it was on Libs of TikTok, and then it was on Wall Street Apes, and then it was on another journalist. I can't remember his name right now. I follow him, Eric Daughtry, and he and Wall Street Apes have about 1.5 million followers, and then TikTok lives TikTok about 5 million. And I stopped keeping track within a day or two of at about 1.5 million views. I'm not going to keep counting it, but and then you'd get these people that have 200,000 followers, and they would send it out to them and stuff like that. And then it was the craziest thing in the world. I was filling in Phoenix last week. Everything just kind of is a blur. And it's funny how things go viral, but it takes like a week sometimes. And it's funny how things you think are going to go viral don't go viral. They never. And then the thing you don't think or you don't even think about goes viral. You can never tell. And by the way, Kyle, but before we play it too, did I say the S word in my speech to the I mean, you were there. Kyle, who took my 2-minute speech? I'm not saying it's a masterpiece because it wasn't. Who took my 2-minute speech, cut it up into 1 minute, and it's out of order, which I don't care. But and then bleeped it and said I said the S word twice. I said Sharia treats women like cattle, and these women are not cattle. And they bleeped me out both times when I said cattle and said I said the S word. I mean, what is this? How does this happen?
That's a liberal agenda.
Yeah. I mean, I wondered if the school, I don't know if the school board, did anything with that and put it out there, so that's where they got it from, where it was bleeped. I have no idea how or what that happened, but I'll never know. I'm not going to try to find out. But I was filling in Phoenix last week when that happened, and my dad texts me. It's 7 p.m. our time. He's up in Chicago, and he's like, "You're on Newsmax." I'm like, what the hell? So my poor dad's sitting at his table eating dinner. He sees me giving a speech on Islam in the school on Newsmax. And then my former colleagues over at my old station said that Mark Levin was playing me on the radio, too. It was just so funny. It's like, wow, okay, who else? It's just funny. But I'm going to play it right now, and you comment on whatever you want to. And this isn't about me, getting my butt kissed or that I'm great or anything. But you can tell me your thoughts on this. Here we go.
That principal knew what she was doing, and I am not believing that was 1 or 2 people at that front desk. Fired the principal. You tell the parents, don't go online to get information, but what did they get online? Marco told the truth. That's where they got the information, and you did. Online, telling us not to go there. This was dawah. Muslim proselytizing, dawah. It's like me as a Christian going into a school and witnessing to these kids. You want me to do that? Let's go.
I think I started the speech a little late. I got to restart it. But I don't. Can you even hear it on your end when I play it?
I couldn't hear it.
I didn't think so. It's the way the whole system's set up. But I'm going to play the very, very beginning of it. You've seen it. We've all seen it. You and I have seen it. I'm going to play the very beginning of it. I think I started it in the middle.
America is a Christian nation.
Amen.
The principal, 1 year ago, on the same day, World Hijab Day, wore that hijab and said she loved it, all caps. 1 year to the day later, on World Hijab Day, Sunday, Monday hits, they're putting our girls in Sharia. They're passing out Sharia pamphlets, hijabs, Qurans, understanding Islam. Understanding Sharia. Sharia treats half of this room like and these women are not. This is not.
It's so funny. You can see when I come back and I'm like, these women are not, and you can see me say cattle, but it says it's got bleep. What the heck? I don't know. Your thoughts?
Here's a good thing. Here's a good thing. I was also live that night, so that entire video is on my Facebook page.
Oh, excellent. Okay, can you tag me on that? Good. Thank you.
I will.
I want to ask you some more questions. What's happening to our state? I mean, whether you want to say on Islam or overall, what's happening to our state is one question I want to ask you.
Well, I think it's going to hell, to be honest. I think we need to get some legislators with some backbones to, put some more guards up for this stuff happening. I mean, you can't even walk into Costco in McKinney, Texas, without seeing people completely covered except for their eyes. And I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable around that stuff. It's just not, that's just not Texas. And I think we have got to tighten our belt on what's going on in this state. We also got to watch which politicians are taking donations from the different Muslim groups. Yes. There's a bunch of them. And we can't be in bed with these people. We just can't.
Yeah.
They're here to take over. And I'm not willing to give up my freedom to have that.
I think there was a real scary video that I played on the podcast a day or two ago, and I think it was, I don't know if it was from Epic Mosque, but he was talking about how Vienna was taken over by Islamists, Islam, and other countries, and how we need to do that here. And it was a Texas mosque, and I don't know which one it was, but I swear to you, I was wondering if it was Epic. It was like a 3 or 4 or 5 minute thing where the guy was talking about stuff and taking over and the Muslim populations. It's terrifying. Because when you see, yeah,
we can't go to their country, and you think I'm going to be welcomed over there in my Stetson?
No. Unless you're an oil billionaire doing business with the Saudis or with one of these whatever U.S. ally type places or alleged ally, yeah.
Right.
No. And there are people that are Muslim that I don't mean. Are you familiar with Dr. Zuhdi Jasser? He goes on. Yeah. So he's an example of a Muslim that is I've had on my shows over the years, has called out everything about CARE, the Muslim Brotherhood, terrorism, and everything. Right. He's a moderate Muslim. So there are people like that, but I think that's not what we're talking about.
No, we're talking about the radicals that are coming over here trying to change not only our heritage, but they're trying to take our sovereignty away from us.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, there's some good people out there, but if you're going to come here to this country,
yes,
you need to come here and assimilate.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Whether you're Hispanic and you're second generation and you still don't speak English, or whether you've been here as a Hispanic legally coming here, and you've been here 20 years or 30 years, you don't speak Spanish, that's total BS. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. Assimilation is critical. But we're finding, like, you see videos in Dearborn, Michigan with journalist Nick Shirley, and you have second generation, born and raised American Muslims in Dearborn who are saying vile things. Vile things. They might as well be in Gaza, talking about death to America. It's sickening.
Well, and how much of our tax dollars are they taking? And not to mention what just happened in Austin, Texas. I mean, that's 3 hours from us.
Yes. And that, by the way, first of all, I was ripping the crap out of WFA TV Channel 8, where I did editorials for 6 years. They're super woke. I'm sure you believe that and know that. But they put out a thing about, we may never know. What was the motive? We may never know. He's a freaking radical Islamist wearing property of Islam, and below that, and he wrote public tweets about that Islam is the only way and eternal rest in my glory or whatever, like that kind of crap. He's a freaking radical Islamist. His own imam from New York City before he came here said that he was radicalized by pro-Palestinian, meaning pro-Hamas terrorist people in this country. So I mean, there was no freaking doubt, and they still say we don't know.
More that leftist propaganda.
Kyle, I thought about something. This is a little sidebar, but like I know that we're not allowed to carry. I carry 99.9% of the time anywhere I go, if not 100%. And I don't know why they don't let us carry in bars. I suppose you could say because you get drunk and you're stupid. But I think that you and I could, if we went and had a beer or two somewhere, I think that you and I would not kill somebody because we had a few drinks. And I think if you do that, you'll go to jail regardless. I wish somebody would be I wish people would be able to carry at bars because they could have shot and killed that SOB much faster.
Well, the Second Amendment wasn't created to go out and hunt. It was to protect our own rights, right. And it was to protect us. And I agree with you. I don't think there should be laws that we can't carry in school buildings or anywhere we want to carry. That should be our right. If you're a responsible gun owner, you're going to carry for the right reason.
Right. A few more things I wanted to hit on you. By the way, yesterday when I went to the polls, of course, it was these freaking people. I go to the same place down the street. I've never gone. People can go, countywide, it's depending on what the elections are. I don't do that. I just go to the place by my house because I know where it is, and I don't want to figure out other stuff. So, what do you think about the Democrats who are too freaking stupid to figure out where their local polling precinct was in Dallas County after, and by the way, after Dallas County spent $1.5 million on flyers, mailers, advertisements saying, hey, morons, you got to go to your local poll.
Well, you can't go to vote at your own location because that's racist, remember?
Yes. By the way, when I went to my polling place. I love this because so first of all, when I showed up, they're like, wait, you can't go. I'm like, what? we need to see your ID because you can't vote anywhere in the county. I'm like, I freaking live right over there. And I'm like, they're like, no. And so I had to go to Goltar, the keymaster, to get a freaking pass. And so I go over there, and they said, yes, you're in. And then they told me take a right, and I said, of course, right, because that's I'm conservative. To the Republican side, I go into the Republican side. There's this guy, and they're all Republicans because Republicans run the polls when they're split like this, right? In the primaries, at least, right? So I was joking around with the guy. He says, I need to see your ID. I said, that's racist. I said, actually, the people on the other side think it's racist. And then the next thing after I voted, I said to him, okay, so I love the things we had on there about, they were referendums or whatever, about Sharia and, healthcare for illegals or, other stuff for illegals. And so I told the guy, okay, after I voted, I said, okay, so I made sure to vote for Sharia law. We want that. And to make sure that illegals get free health care, right? He said, yes. So, yeah, I was gonna joke around with you and say I voted for Sharia and health care for illegals. Is that okay? But you would have known I was joking. Oh, we got some comments from folks that can chime in. Marcos Lopez said, you are a true leader. The hiding Wiley East High School principal, Tiffany Doolin, needs to be fired or resigned. Exactly right. You and I agree. Why do you think hiding Tiffany Doolin husband wants to fight Katie Sims? I think because she is probably a leftist, loves a false religion like Islam. Not sure to be mean, but there's only one way, and that's through to heaven, and that's through Jesus Christ. He is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through him, unless you're James Talarico, a lying bastardizer of God's word, pretending to be, a pastor. And I think that she's probably a leftist, and he's probably a leftist, and leftists can't handle when people like us speak out and stand up for our rights. So they troll us, and they say vile things. Marco says, thank you 110% for everyone who's helping be a voice to the Wiley teachers and students. Hold the Wiley ISD School Board accountable. 4 seats are up for re-election November in 2026, and we're all gonna fight to get those seats overturned. And then somebody else says, Marco says, we are all calling for accountability. We need elected officials, parents and students, and community members to show up on March 24th. Amen. We're gonna be there at that school board meeting.
Absolutely.
A few more questions. What are your thoughts about the results from last night's primaries? You don't have to go into everything, but what are some of your thoughts overall?
I am glad you brought that up, and I know you were talking about Talarico at the very beginning, and I've been talking about this on my page all day, and it sparked a lot of discussion. But people do not understand how dangerous and how powerful that man is because he's got a lot of charisma. On him.
Yes, he's charismatic.
We have to be careful in November, or we're going to fool around and lose that seat if we're not careful.
You're right. What does that mean? What does that mean to you when you say that? We have to not fool around and be careful. What does that mean, whether it's which candidate or whatever? Talk to me.
Well, number one, I wish Trump would stay the hell out of our elections in Texas, number one. Yeah. I don't think Trump needs to be endorsing anybody in Texas, first of all. Number two, typically on an off season of presidential election, the voter turnout's typically lower.
Yes.
And I put a post up about a couple hours ago that showed that between Talarico and Crockett, they had over 2 million votes for those two people.
Okay.
They crushed us.
What did we do total? What did we do total? Between Paxton,
our total was probably about 1.7, I think. 1.7 million between Paxton and Cornyn.
So they got about 300,000 or more votes than we did.
That is correct.
Wow.
And I'll send you that when we get off the show.
Please.
But I'm just encouraging people that we've got to get activated and get people engaged and make them understand that if we don't get out and start voting for the right people, we're going to be in trouble. And I meant to tell you this earlier today when I talked to you, but there's one thing that I want you to understand about what's going on in Texas elections. I was with a candidate who, unfortunately, we lost our race last night. But what's going on now?
You could say his name too if you want. I mean, whatever. It's all good.
Yeah, it was Paul Bondar for US 32.
Yeah.
But what we've been seeing a lot of, Chris, is these out-of-state PACs are getting involved, and they're putting out these voter guides from up north.
Yes.
With names on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got one. I got a bunch.
So I ran across a girl that was being paid $30 an hour that lived in Arizona, handing out a flyer with names on it, who to vote for, and she didn't have a clue who was on that list. And people are so complacent that they just take that list, they go in the voting booth and they vote, not knowing who the hell they're voting for.
Yeah.
That's another issue in Texas elections we need to get changed.
I looked at the list on the card that I got, and it looked so conservative and official. And I did vote for about half the people on there, but the other half I'm like, no, I know what you're trying to do here. For example, Don Huffines, I'm a big fan of his. He's awesome. Paxton, I voted for. There's a whole bunch of different ones there, but I'm like, no, I know you're a rhino type mailing, but trying to look ultra conservative.
Yeah, and this one I'm talking about came from Ohio, and people from Arizona were handing it out, being paid to hand it out, but they didn't know anybody on the ticket because I went up and got them on video.
That's like the Democrats doing that crap.
Absolutely.
Busting people in. So, okay, and then what do you predict is going to happen? Who do you think? I'm hearing that Trump is going to weigh in and say Cornyn over Paxton, and that they're going to give Paxton some kind of a seat somewhere with the administration. Are you hearing the same thing?
I am hearing that, and that's why I said I think Trump needs to stay out of this. And Trump doesn't do a lot of these endorsements. His team rubber stamps his endorsements.
Yeah. Okay.
There's always a paid favor, or there's money for these endorsements.
Yeah. So you think that that's going to happen? That he's going to endorse Cornyn? Then remember, he said he wants the other person to step out of the election. What do you think?
Yeah, I put this post on my page today, and
Tell
you
me.
don't see how many replies it's got. It's got like 400 replies on it already. It's crazy.
And
people don't want Cornyn.
No. So what do you think? Play it out. How do you think it's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't think Paxton will step down. I really don't. I think Paxton's got this if he stays in the fight, but I think it's going to be a big fight. It's going to be a lot of money.
And then what do you want to say to what do you want to say to the National Republican or the Republicans that are more milquetoast Republicans, or more I call them rhinos or whatever you want to say, who are like, well, then you guys, if you guys, me and you and other Republicans here, pick Paxton, then the Senate committee or whatever it is going to have to spend untold tens of millions, if not over $100 million, to save the seat because Paxton's not as strong, quote unquote, of a candidate compared to Cornyn versus Talarico. What do you have to say to folks that say that? They're like, hey, now that's going to free up less. That's going to have less money available to stave off other Senate or seats in the country.
Well, I can see that, but I will also say this, that a few years ago, John Cornyn was booed out of the Texas convention. I mean, he was literally booed out. I was there and saw that. So I understand that, but going up against Talarico, whoever it is, better be on their toes, and we better have a very strong message because this guy's coming at us hard.
He is very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
To me, he's another iteration of Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator. Is that what you think?
He is, and he's drawing some hellacious crowds around the state, some big ones.
And so did Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator. I predict, do you think, I'm going to admit something, that Cornyn, because he's a milquetoast Republican, and the day I got here 16 years ago to do afternoons on 570 KLF before going to my old station BAP, I was told by my producer, and he was right. He says, watch Cornyn. He's a joke. He says, when something controversial is going on, and you and I are debating it, we're talking about, we're taking a bold stance, we've duked it out on that day or two, within a day or 24, 40 hours. A week or two later, Cornyn comes out, and he licks his finger, and he sticks it up, and he goes, I'm taking a strong position. And we're like, where the hell were you 2 weeks ago? What are you? Is this a joke? Right?
No, he acts whichever way the wind's blowing that day. That's what he does. And all people have to do is go back and look at his voting record. It's very easy to find. This guy doesn't have our best interests at heart. He just doesn't. And I know Paxton has some baggage, But like I tell people, that's between him, his spouse, and God. That's none of my business. He's been a good AG for us, and I think he's the better choice.
Yes, and I do too. And my pastor, Dr. Robert Jeffress, says this about Trump because people, the left, who is mostly, a big, large percentage is, godless, or Talarico style bastardized version of Christianity. They'll try to, throw in their faces, you're endorsing a rapist about Trump, or you're endorsing a man who's cheated on his wives. And Dr. Jeffress said, I'm not voting for him to be my Sunday school teacher. I'm voting for him to be the person that will best represent the policies that are best for our Christian values. And that's what Ken Paxton is.
No, he's right. And that's what our voters the Republican voters have to get over some of these hurdles in their mind to understand that Texas is at a crossroads come this election in November. And if we don't turn out right, this state's going to go blue. And if it goes blue, we've lost the country. It's gone.
Yes. I don't think, and there's two things. I don't think we're in danger of going blue as a state. We might lose a Senate seat, but I don't think that portends. I don't think we're in danger of going blue as a state for a long time. I think that the national people, I have a liberal, I have a very conservative sibling, and I have a very, very liberal sibling. And the very liberal sibling told me in the middle of the Beto Hussein O'Rourke craze, I sent money to him, and I said, good. I said, that's fine. And I said, it's not going to do anything. He's still going to lose. I mean, it was like a short, simple reply because it was true. And so I think the left, the people like James Colbert or whatever his name is, Stephen Colbert, and my sibling who's liberal from another state way up, from Illinois, and these liberals and these extra money groups from outside of the state, as you talked about, I think they get excited. They want to hump this guy's leg and think he's going to win, but he's not going to win. Now Talarico could. I agree with you. Just like Hussein O'Rourke almost won. The reason why Hussein O'Rourke almost won one time was because Ted Cruz phoned it in that time, and he did not work hard. We were not seeing Cruz signs. We were not seeing people on the streets. People were calling in on my show from Waxahachie saying there was nothing they were seeing on the streets. People from Central Dallas and North Central Dallas were calling in saying, I go to volunteer, there's nobody there, the door's locked. When I go in, there's one person there, or there's 6 of us there, and there's nobody that wants to walk us. There's no signs, there's no nothing. Do you agree with me? That's why we almost lost, only because Cruz phoned that one in expecting to not have a problem.
No, I do agree. And I just want to clarify, I don't think we'll go blue in November. But what I'm saying is, if we're not smart about this, it will start to trend that direction.
Yes, I agree.
And that's what I don't want to start.
Do you think we're in danger as a whole of going blue like in 10 years, 5 years? I'm talking about for the presidential elections and I just don't see that happening at all for another 20 years or more. Of course, stuff can happen.
I don't know if the president, but I do think there'll be some House and Senate seats flip. Yes. And I can tell you, like Collin County and even Rockwall County used to be really, really bright red. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah, what would you say that wouldn't you say your biggest expertise is Republican in politics in Collin County overall because of the fact that that's your epicenter for you? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I know quite a few other counties. I can tell you that Rockwall now is about 75% red. It's lost about 25%. Yeah.
Wow.
And Collin County still has one Democratic state seat that is still held by a Democrat. It's up for grabs right now in November, but a Democrat's held that seat for the last 2 terms.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would you say the percentage of Collin County is for red?
I think the last time I looked, it was close to Rockwall. It's not real high percentage, but it's enough to get people's attention.
And then tell me, give me there's a quick hit on each one from your knowledge. Denton?
Oh, Denton's
not
I
the
would
city.
say Denton's probably 50-60% blue.
Yeah. Because of the university.
Because it's a college town, that's why.
Yeah, right. But I'm not just saying Denton itself, but the county.
Yeah, Denton County, yeah.
Same
Absolutely.
thing, still 56 blue. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the university. Blue. Yeah. And Tarrant is what? like 54% Republican? I'm just guessing.
Yeah, it is. And, Chris, a lot of people don't understand where this starts. This starts at your school boards and your city council and your county commissioners and your county judges. That's where all that starts. And then it moves up from there up to the state. But all these counties around here have a lot of Democrats on school board, on the council, commissioners, all that stuff. And that's why I always encourage people, get to know who your officials are, get out to these meetings like we go to, because that's the only way you're going to know what's going on.
Kyle, it was really an awesome time to get to meet you, and I'm grateful I got to have you on, and I look forward to having you on again. And I think this has been a really eye-opening experience for me, meeting you and Kaylee and Marco and his dad, and so many different people, because the more of us that are connected and having each other on each other's podcasts and stuff, the more stronger we are. And the more active we are, and the more that people like you and me and others share with each other intel on what's going on and get the word out, this is powerful.
It is, and I want you to consider coming to some other cities with me in the North Texas area to speak about these kids, these inappropriate relationships that's going on with these students. We had over 200 incidents in schools last year. Yeah. We've had a bunch this year already again.
I will come with
Salina,
you.
Frisco, McKinney, all of them.
Yeah, Salina with the coach and AD and his son. Holy freaking crap! There was just a pastor in, I can't remember, Benbrook or something. I can't remember where it was exactly. It's somewhere by the Mid Cities more. I think it's in Tarrant or something. There was a pastor who had his son, who is a registered sex offender, on staff working there, and it was a Christian school, a private Christian school. And that was all over the news a week or two ago, and the pastor just quit. He literally gave his sex offender registry son a job at the church, and nobody knew. Unfreaking believable.
We've got 2 granddaughters in Salina, and my wife used to sub in Salina until I went to speak at a board meeting, and all of a sudden she wasn't wanted anymore.
Oh boy!
So we've got grandkids scattered out through the Metroplex, and that's why I show up at a lot of meetings. I don't have to be a taxpayer in that town. When I pay school taxes, it goes into a big pot in Austin, and it gives me a right to speak anywhere I want to speak.
Amen. Kyle, Katie Sims, I appreciate you very much. And yes, invite me to those other events. I'll be with you on most all of them, if not all of them. I appreciate you very much, man. Thank you.
God bless you, brother. I appreciate you.
You too. If people want to follow you on Twitter,
just
Facebook?
It's just my name on Facebook, public page. On Twitter, I'm at Patriot TXS.
Perfect. Patriot TXS. Thank you, Kyle. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you March 24th at the next school board meeting in Wiley ISD, okay?
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. There he goes. There's Kyle, Katie Sims. And let me, before I play my IRSprob.com thing, let me just say that was a lot of fun. He's great. I really, really am glad I had him on. I've been having some of the different Patriots on, and we're gonna have on. I can't think of his name now. I have to look him up. I've got his name's in my head, but or his face is in my head. Alex Stein, primetime Alex Stein. I had him on. It was a little choppy because I was doing a radio show in Phoenix at the same time, so I had to have him on 5 minutes later. He was only able to come on 5 minutes because I couldn't have him on the radio show. It was a little technical problem. But we're going to have him on again, too. We had Kaylee Campbell, who's great, really great. And we just had Kyle, Katie Sims. Look forward to more of these. I'm going to reach out to some other great people here in the community that are doing great stuff, exposing things. Thank you for watching. It's Croc Talk with Chris Croc. I will see you for tomorrow's show. We're going to talk about what you need to know for your taxes. I mean, we're going to do a regular show like this, but we're also going to have Randy Martin from IRSprob.com come on. Randy's amazing. He's my CPA. And we're going to talk about a couple things that have been in the news as far as taxes that I've got right here. If my screen will show it. Come on, baby. It's okay to work. Yeah, it's going too slow. There we go. The Supreme Court hears a tax forfeiture horror story, but also for all of us, it's really about practicality with our taxes coming up and what we can do. When is a tax not a tax? And just advice for you, because here we are in the middle of the tax season, from an expert CPA. And you could throw in questions too, or send them on my, to DM me or message me or on this live feed that you want me to ask Randy tomorrow. He's amazing. And speaking of Randy, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. I'll see you tomorrow. Croc Talk with Chris Croc rolls on.